We have Mark calling in from Oregon who wants to ask you a question. Mark, you're live on Truth Wanted. What's up?
Hi, I'm Mark, and I was just wondering, Dan, when Mormons talk about, do they believe in aliens, and do they think aliens are Mormons who have gone on to procreate on their own planets?
Mormonism, that's a great question. Mormonism has a really interesting space theology. Not maybe as interesting as the Scientologists, but it's pretty fun. So here's the basics of how it works. And Mormonism has very recently tried to back off of this very quietly without actually they just posted a thing on their website that was like, this is probably not really the case. But the basics of what I was taught and what's in their books is this. So Joseph Smith said, as man is, God once was, and as God is, man may become. And that's because the theory is that if you're good in this life, you can become exalted in the next in the afterlife, and you can become a god. And then the theory is then you can create your own worlds, and you can create your own planets, and you can be God over all of that stuff. And it doesn't take any extrapolation to say that if God once was as we are, that means that there are billions of other gods out there over their own universes or their own, parts of galaxies, or however, who knows how much space and time is delineated to each god. But there is definitely a theology that there are, many, many gods. They don't talk about it this way, but they're definitely a polytheistic religion. They just think that we have one God, and then, other gods are for other universes or whatever. But God, our God, lives on a planet somewhere out there, which is either the planet or the star that the planet is circling is called Kolob, which if you're a Battlestar Galactica fan, you'll recognize Kobol was their thing. That was written by a Mormon. This is a crazy little wackadoo thing that he was doing there. But yeah, so yes, there is a space theology. Mormons, they don't talk about aliens in church. That's not something that is part of the handbook that goes out. But they do believe in them because they have to, because that's when you take their theology to its logical conclusion, there have to be beings in other parts, far reaches, because there are all of these other gods out there.
They do believe that it's in universe that they're on these other planets, or is it like
I don't know? I mean that it's never gotten that specific.
Okay.
But what here? If in case you need to understand, Joseph Smith and Brigham Young, those were the first two prophets of the church. Their understanding of space and how it all works was such that both of them were entirely convinced that there were men. I'm not talking about like aliens. I'm talking about men on the moon.
Yeah,
that's what Joseph Smith said. They were about 6 feet tall and they dressed like Quakers. And then Brigham Young upped the ante, saying, of course there are men on the moon, and it only makes sense then that there are also men on the sun. Don't be an idiot. Obviously, that's the case. So
he's the guy the university is named after. That's that's very interesting. Yeah.
So it's not like they get deep into we're not talking about astrophysicists here.
Yeah, that makes sense. Mark, what do you think?
That's sad, because I was hoping that there was a deep theology behind it.
Well, you can develop it. Go propose it to them. See what they think.
I'll work on it.
That's really, really interesting. Well, Mark, did you have any other comments, questions, concerns before we wrap up this call?
No, I appreciate the information. I've asked my Mormon missionary kids, and they have no clue. And I want to hear from the horse's mouth, so I asked Dan.
Yeah, the missionaries. Can I just put out there the thank God I'm atheist.
They know nothing.
Yeah, they don't know anything. They don't. And so they don't bother them. Don't worry about like trying to talk them into anything. But if you do encounter a Mormon missionary,
and it confuses the hell out of them.
sure, and have fun with that if you want to. But let me tell you, the Thank God I'm Atheist, our official editorial position on what to do if missionaries come to your door is give them work at your house, because they actually have to do an amount of service that is part of their mission.
Right.
And you'll be doing them a favor. They won't be knocking on doors. Just tell them, help me like get this stuff out of my garage, or help me mow my lawn, or come back when you're, when you have grubbies on, and we'll do some work in the yard. They'll appreciate it. Give them some water and maybe a sandwich or something. And they'll be doing you a favor. You'll be doing them a favor, and that'll work out great for everybody.
There you go.
Sounds wonderful. Thanks for the advice.
Yeah, that's some interesting advice there. I don't know. I'd feel kind of bad if I made somebody
don't. I promise you, I've talked to multiple Mormon missionaries, guys who are still Mormon, and they're like, yeah, that would have been cool. I would have been fine with that.
All right.
So,
well,
and the worst that they can say is no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But literally, that's part of their job. And the worst thing that they do is go knocking door to door. So anything you can give them to keep them from knocking.
Dan, if I have like a Baphomet statue and I ask them to dust it, would they do that? Or, what are we talking here?
I'm saying run the experiment, baby.
Run the experiment. Okay.
I'm saying you don't know until you try.
Okay. All right. I can appreciate that. So as I alluded to at the beginning of the show here, we got a bit of a time. We're in a time flux tonight. So we're going to let Dan go right about now. I'm still going to be here for just a little bit here. So keep calling if you want to talk to me tonight, but we are going to let Dan Beecher go a bit early tonight. Dan, thank you so much for being on Truth Wanted.
Well, thanks so much for having me, and thank you. And I am sorry for having to go early. That was my fault entirely. And so call in and talk to Dan. He's a great guy. I'm sure you'll really enjoy the conversation. And thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
We appreciate you having. We appreciate having you on tonight. And if people want to find your stuff, where can they find it at?
We're a podcast, so look up Thank God I'm Atheist anywhere you get your podcasts, or go to thankgodimatheist.com. You can find us there, and if you want a t-shirt, we got the merch. Which we don't plug that much because we're the ones doing the fulfillment, and frankly, it's more work than we want. But you find us there, and come join us. We have a good time.
Cool. Well, before we let you go, Dave, we always have to ask you: do you have any words of wisdom that you want to share with us tonight? Any words of wisdom?
Absolutely. I think that the main thing that we all need to take forward into this world is do some penetrative still sex and have somebody jump on the bed for you. I think it's I think it's worth a try. I think it's worth trying.
I can't believe that's real. I saw that on Twitter like a week or two ago, and I'm totally glad you brought it, because it's something I probably should have prepared to ask you, but it just kind of came and went, and I'm so glad you're confirming that it probably is. I mean, if anybody has any, well, no, I don't want anybody calling about their soaking stories. Never mind. Well, we're not going to go there.